Ms. Lynn, I believe you're ready.
Yes.
I want to advise that you answer directly because we don't need to take more time this morning. We just want to be sure that you are aware that your statements on oath in court, if they are found to be untrue or deliberately misleading, you're aware that it is a crime in our jurisdiction.
Yes.
Are you also aware that the statements that you make on oath here in court, if they are deliberately untrue, can be a subject for disciplinary, to be mentioned in a forensic opinion?
Yes, that's correct.
I'm going to ask you to make reference to your own code, my Lord, Prosecution Exhibit 135.
So, as you are handed that document, I would like to understand what then is the procedure for a user of a report satisfying themselves that it has been peer reviewed? Is it on a case by case? How is the reviewer and the date of review disclosed to a user of a report?
Unless it is specifically asked and questioned, it's accepted that it has been peer reviewed. So if we are specifically asked, then we're able to produce a statement from our peer reviewer, but ordinarily it's accepted.
My Lord, we have an extra copy. Court could follow through.
Maybe you could give us the extra copy.
The extra copy.
Give us a hard copy.
Mr. Karwanga, we made the extra copy. I am covering now.
You should learn how to be fair and make extra copies for the defense. There is no copy we've ever given you. It's not fair for you to be sending us electronic copies consistently.
The court is going to
Here.
Ms. Lynn, can you please go to section 20.3?
Yes.
What is it titled?
Peer review.
Can you specifically go to section, do you refer to them as section in your jurisdiction?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, we do.
Thank you. Section 20.3.5. 20.3.5.
Yes.
Do you want to read it to court?
In all reviews, the case record shall indicate that the review has been carried out, by whom it was carried out, and when it was carried out.
Can you read it again?
In all reviews, the case record shall indicate that the review has been carried out, by whom it was carried out, and when it was carried out.
you'll agree with us that this provision does not exempt any Do you want also to agree with us, as provided in this code, that a review has to indicate that the casework has to indicate that the review was carried out?
Yes.
Does your work mention the fact of the review having been done?
In the case records,
Does
yes.
this mention or not?
In the case records, yes. Not my final statement. They're two different things.
Now my question is, in your report,
Yes, that's not the case records. In my statement it doesn't, but the case records have complete transparency, so it's a different thing. Case records and final report are different.
Ms. Lynn, again, what do you understand case record to be?
Case
Because
record.
we can go there.
So case records will be the raw data and the papers I reviewed. And in that electronically, I can demonstrate my report's been reviewed. The final statement is not part of the case records. It's a different entity.
So case records are the raw data and the
The-
documents
Yes.
that you reviewed.
Yes, so much like the first laboratory, our Crown laboratory, there's documentation that's signed to say a peer review has happened, but that doesn't come over to the final statement.
So in the case of this report that
Yes.
you made, what would be the case records?
The case records would be the electropherograms, the report of the DNA, the crime scene. They would form my case records, but my final report wouldn't be considered by the regulator case records. That's a separate entity.
Ms. Lynn, we understand very well. What you just said refers to the primary casework.
Yes. so the-
Doesn't indicate to your review that you undertook.
I'm sorry.
Yours is secondary review.
Yes, I was.
Right. So now, let us stick to secondary review.
Yes.
Because this provision applies to all reviews.
Yes.
So I'm not testing the review of the primary examiner. He was here and he testified.
No.
Now, I am dealing with your particular review
Yes.
that you undertook.
Yes.
The judge is asking, what would then, if that is your view, what would then, in your view, constitute a record, a case record?
The case records are...
In terms of your work,
So in terms of my work, my case record is the electropherograms that I've reviewed, my opinions on those, and the documents, and the peer review forms part of those case records. So we have electronic copies and transparency there, but my final report doesn't need to include the fact it has been peer reviewed. The case records I can demonstrate. They're different entities.
they are not. But let's save on the time. I want. Let's be, and we are doing very well. I don't want us to take more time. Now, I take you by your word when you say the process which you did does not. My Lord, can I beg your pardon? What she said last?
So that in my work, the case record was the EPGs, her opinion of those, and the documents. The peer review forms part of the case record. My final report does not have to indicate that my report was peer reviewed.
Good. Is that
That's
the
correct.
position of your court, or it is your opinion?
The case records referred to at home, that phrase is the
Ms. Lynn, what you just said, that you don't have to, is it your opinion or it is the position of the code that governs you?
We have followed the code that the peer review is in the case records.
What is your answer? Is your position...
The code does not specify it needs to be in the final report. Case records are separate to final reports.
Is there any provision...
Just a moment.
Okay.
The code does not specify that.
Yes, repeat, please.
That it needs.
The peer review needs to be disclosed in the final report, but it needs to be evident in the case records.
And you're telling this court that in your case, what would form the case record are electropherograms and all the things that you mentioned.
Yes.
But those are not your original materials. There's just no way your peer reviewer would be noted in those records.
No, it's any additional documentation or notes I add to those.
This court has asked you a clear-cut question.
This is...
In respect of your
Mr. Mwaganya,
review.
let me understand. So, according to your practice and what you went by, the case records, which include the EPGs, the DNA results, the photos, and every other thing that you looked at, forms part of your case record,
yes.
And that is what is subject to peer review.
Yes, absolutely.
Good. So, where would your reviewer then be reflected? In the primary materials that you are reviewing at a secondary level?
We have electronic copies where my report has been peer reviewed, and you can, with track changes, so you can see how the case has progressed. My peer reviewer is checking my report against all the raw data to demonstrate that there is transparency and there's no bias coming in.
Anyway.
So your peer reviewer checks your final report against the documents?
All the documents I've referred to and evaluates it herself. If there isn't a disagreement, then we discuss. And the final report is the final opinion of both myself and my peer reviewer as to the findings.
Anyway, we will deal with that. But I just want you to confirm that your report, as is, doesn't indicate anywhere that any reviewer reviewed your work.
Correct.
It doesn't also indicate anywhere as to when your said purported review was done.
Yes, it's not in my report.
You are the expert here.
Yes.
Do you have any provision anywhere in your code that provides, contrary to section 20.3.5?
If we are
Do
specific...
you or you don't?
The 20.3.5 relates to the case records. If anyone wants confirmation of the peer review status...
I am asking about the code.
The code...
I'm asking about the code.
The code relates...
Do you know of any that requires otherwise?
The code is specific for the case records, of which we don't rely on. We rely on our reports in court.
Now you will answer my question. That's not what I'm asking. Kindly,
The
please.
forensics
Do
regulator...
you have any, from your expertise, 30 years, any provision in your code that provides other than the commands of section 20.3.5? Is either yes or no?
No.
You don't. Do you also know from your experience, of any provision that mandates you to provide reviewers' statements exclusive of your report?
I'm sorry, can you rephrase?
Okay, I'm good. I shall do so. Do you have any provision that is in your knowledge that mandates you to provide a reviewer's statement independent of your report? Because we understood you to say that if one wants, you can look for it somewhere, I think, and then provide it.
Yeah,
Is there any provision known to you in your 30 years of experience that authorizes you to withhold and provide it separately?
I'm not withholding anything. This our courts accept it has been peer reviewed. However, if anyone asks, like if anyone wants the full list of analysts that have worked on the case, we can provide that if required.
Where is that provided in your code?
It's not in the code. It's
not in the code.
Anyone can ask for a statement from anyone involved in the case, if so required. And so barristers will ask us if we need to. It's not a standard thing that we will, because it's accepted.
This court shall interpret your code. So I now want to move to another area. Reading your opinion, to put it simply, your finding was that More Katanga did not fire the pistol.
No, it doesn't say that.
Do I understand you to mean that your evidence cannot be used to confirm that she never fired the pistol?
The DNA does not help at all to assess.
I'm now asking about your evidence. We want to understand the context of your testimony.
Yes.
Do I understand that your entire evidence, both in the report and on the stand, does not suggest that More Katanga did not fire the pistol?
We evaluate in the context. I'm sorry, I'm sorry, my lord, but this is a very specific scientific process.
My lord, my question is factual. I will come to the science. We want to help this court.
Ms. Ingley, based on your report and your testimony,
yes,
what is the conclusion of the DNA results in relation to who fired the pistol?
So, in relation to who fired, it cannot help to address that.
So you could not determine who fired or who did not fire?
It's not possible from the DNA, no. No, it doesn't help to address that issue at all.
I shall ask it differently. You arrived at a proposition that this caseworker could be best explained if More did not fire the pistol. Was that your position?
No.
Now, the specific, simple question that I want you to be clear to this court is that your report cannot be used to suggest that More did not fire the pistol.
No,
Do you understand me?
Yeah, my report doesn't suggest that.
Okay. May we have some brief interpretation before I go to another area? How was the position of case to answer communicated to you?
Ellison sent me confirmation of the transcript from my lord saying that there was a case to answer.
So by transcript you mean the ruling, the court ruling?
Yes, yeah, and specifically what was behind the DNA evidence.
And from that ruling, you were in position to establish exactly the questions of this court in relation to DNA.
No.
Did you read the ruling that Harrison sent to you?
I didn't read the full ruling. The only pertinent...
What part did you read?
The pertinent information was there was a case to answer in relation to the DNA because Mrs. Katanga's profile was the major DNA on the trigger, and that then confirmed that the DNA evidence was required for oral purposes. So I was going to be required to give evidence.
Is it your evidence that you read in my lord's ruling that More Katanga's DNA was the major one in the ruling?
Yes, I believe so. That's the evidence that I heard presented.
And you never read the ruling, the content of the ruling at all?
I didn't need the actual specifics.
Did you or you did not?
I didn't read the full ruling, no. It was passed on that there is a case to answer to for the DNA, and that was enough for me.
Ms. Lynn, I'm putting it to you the reason you now run away from the fact of you reading a ruling sent to you is because you know that if this court establishes that you actually read its ruling before originating your report, it would amount to pure bias
No.
in your report.
No, it formed no bias on my report whatsoever. It was merely an indication that the DNA was considered as a case to answer, and therefore my written report and oral evidence would be required. It formed no basis of my evaluation whatsoever.
Now, you have, and I must appreciate you, you have been a very great help to this court when you categorize your two levels of instructions. The first, if I understood you well, please confirm to participate in dealing with aspects of cross-examination. You were an aide to the defense counsel.
Yes.
And then later, you became an expert for purposes of writing the report. Now let's deal with the first phase of your activity.
Yes.
At the time when you were working with the defense to program their cross-examination strategy, you could be perceived, mark my words, as conflicted by reason.
If the individual doesn't understand the expert witness, then yes, it could be perceived as that.
Would such an individual not be perceived as biased? Biased in a sense of not being independent.
Again, only if they don't understand the system, yes.
Okay. In fact, if you were a bystander, and I'm using you deliberately, and you looked at a person having regular telephone, Zoom, and call conversations with a party, you could perceive that person as being biased, correct?
Yes, I can see that a layperson would see that as being biased.
My Lord, she understood the question. And
I don't think she did. I think the question was, I'm deliberately asking it to you as you.
My Lord, that's what
The
I asked.
answer is a layperson.
As a bystander, and a bystander
No,
would be
my Lord, her as a being a bystander, her.
So I interpreted that as a layperson with no understanding of the court process. That would be my
I hope
interpretation.
by layperson you're referring to
A
an
non-expert.
average, reasonable person.
Yes.
Great. That's the test I am
Yes.
applying.
Yes.
So as a bystander, if you looked at a person having regular Zoom, telephone and call conversations, you would...
I can see how that can be perceived as being bias.
Okay.
If they're a
Okay, that's-
layperson, and don't understand the
That's good
process.
enough.
Yeah.
Please.
by
Now, Ms. Lin, you, and I don't intend to repeat what you said, but you told this court about several components of unsolicited information given to you by KAA. I want you to confirm that that information was not case relevant to your assignment, was it?
Some was, some wasn't.
Was it or it was not?
Some was, some wasn't. It depends on what I was reviewing. The information that I deemed pertinent has been disclosed in my report.
Okay, let's be particular. Did you find the charge sheet task relevant? Yes or no?
They're what, sorry?
Did you find the charge sheet task relevant?
No.
Did you find the indictment task relevant?
No.
Did you find the GSR report task relevant?
No.
Did you find the medical document, police form 3 of Mole Katanga, task relevant?
Only for background information of the injury.
Please answer to the question of
it's
whether
for-
or not.
It's for background information to determine the injury she
Did
sustained.
you find it task relevant? You can see how simple my question is.
It didn't affect my final outcome, no.
I am not asking whether anything affected. I'm asking whether you found the medical document of that lady as given to you by KAA.
Objection, my
Task
lord.
relevant.
Objection, my lord. The witness has answered. He said yes for background information. She said yes, but for background information.
My lord,
So
can
now,
she answer again and as clear as possible, please?
So yes, I use the information in that for background information for the expectation of finding blood.
Let's begin with that. You know that the code mandates you to list all task relevant information in your report. That's something that you know?
Yes, and I have.
Did you list the medical documents of Molly?
No, because it was background information only.
Did you list it?
I didn't need to if it's background information only.
Let court record. Ms. Lynn, is it in your knowledge that your professional code prohibits you from seeing non-task relevant information prior to the conclusion of your report?
Sorry.
Is it a fact not known to you?
Can you repeat that? Sorry.
That your code prohibits you from seeing any task-relevant information before the conclusion of your report?
And I must have information in order to robustly evaluate a case.
You are not aware whether your code restricts you from seeing non-task information before your report? Are you aware or you are not?
If it's totally irrelevant, then yes, but that medical report aided me in background information as to the likelihood of blood.
My question is general, it's not specific in
If
any
it's
way.
irrelevant, then yes, I don't look at it. Hence, I didn't read the gunshot residue report. It's irrelevant to my review.
The reason why you are prohibited from dealing or reading or even looking at non-task information is to safeguard you against bias.
Correct.
In fact, cognitive bias.
Correct.
We already know on record that you never utilized a process map. Actually, you said it doesn't exist as far as you are concerned.
I think she said that she does not understand
She does.
what process map
Yes.
is and what you referred to.
Exactly. Actually, I'm most obliged, my lord. You actually said you don't understand what process map is.
Yeah, in the context that you're asking. I'm not sure what you're actually asking.
Before we assess the context, let this court understand whether you actually know what a process map is in the context of forensic evaluation.
There's the process map that the analytical laboratories follow, and there is not necessarily referred to as a process map for evaluation, where it's the methodology that you go through, much like that paper that was presented for activity level. So there's different types of process maps, so it depends what you're referring to. They're very different depending on what process you're after.
Ms. Lynn, first go back to your report again.
Yes.
Page 28.
Yes.
And 29.
Yes.
28, paragraph A that I read. 29, paragraph 1 that I read.
Yes.
When you made these two opinions, actually it's one opinion, but on the 2 pages, to the effect that the DNA findings relating to the pistol could be readily explained if Mole Katanga did not fire the pistol.
Yes, that's one explanation.
When you are subjecting your professional mind in arriving at this proposition, where are you assessing source level, activity level, or offense level? At what level were you subjecting this proposition?
The evaluation is to fire the pistol, which is activity level.
Will you please provide this court with a
It's
clear
activity
answer?
level.
Activity level.
Yes.
As simple as that. You know, when you do, I am faster and I get done. Don't worry, your lawyers are going to do all those
I
explanations.
wrote that is the 3rd time they're asking the same question of activity.
That's why it should be easier for her to provide a clear answer.
But was it asked in relation to page 28 and 29?
Now,
Yes, my lord, specifically. Says, was it activity?
In fact, in relation to
I-
whether it was offense
please
level,
wait.
source level, and activity level.
Same word. I can even open and...
the context is different, just relax.
There is no context.
Nsobola kusoborwa kurungi muno ebikwatagana hali eiju eryarugire omundu likansobola kwetegerezebwa kurungi kandi okusoborwa kurungi kakuba Mole atarasire isasi kandi kino akaba nasigikira hali ebyasangire ebyamuleteire okutekereza atyo baitu kitali nikyo ekyokucwamu ekyokumalira. Bino ebitekerezo bibiri bino tibiri nibyo ebyokumalira okurugira hali ebyasangire habwokuba kiri nikyo ekintu kyenyini ekyamalirire natunga kandi akacweka ka 20 mu kitabo ky'ebiragiro ekirema emirimo yabo kikoleka nti haina kuba haloho obujulizi obukoleka nti ekyandiko kino ekoleka byone byazoire omu kyandiko kino baitu halimu ebirimu ebitahandikirwemu nti halimu obutalimu bwakwaisa obukoleka nti
I believe you know. Don't you know that a report of an expert would be inadmissible in a court of law if the expert has been established to have acted in a breach of the Code for Independence, Impartiality, and Integrity.
Yes.
For purposes of our case, I want you to go to section 13.1.7.
Yes.
Can you read subparagraph 1?
Conflicts of interest, perceived or otherwise, and threats to impartiality may include a practitioner having or being perceived to have an interest in the outcome of the case, being coerced or having the... Oh, sorry, just the first.
Just A.
Please read again.
You may read again. 13.1.7A.
So A is having or being perceived to have an interest in the outcome of the case.
How about E? 13.1.7E.
Having not sought independent review of their critical findings.
If one doesn't seek independent review of their critical findings.
Yes.
Their opinions would be inadmissible.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
How about F?
Being involved with activities that could be perceived as witness coaching or being coached rather than training or familiarization.
So if you could be perceived as having been coached,
Yes.
you agree that your report would be inadmissible.
Yes.
About H?
Having a close/significant personal or financial relationship with a party likely to be affected by the outcome of either the practitioner's work and/or the case.
That would also invalidate your report if it is established.
Yes.
Now, I want to take you to section 13.1.5.
Yes.
Yeah, point 1.5. Now, this section in your code is the safeguard for eliminating cognitive bias.
Yes, that's possible. Yes.
Okay. So, as an expert, you are required to undertake the provisions of this section for purposes of demonstrating that you are not cognitively biased.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Read the provision to court. 13.1.5.
The process map required to assess data integrity, as in section 26.1.3, should be used in the development of the procedure for the forensic science accreditation. The process map should assess the risk of cognitive bias. If identified as a risk, non-task relevant information should be held back until completion of the stages which may be influenced by such information.
We already have it on record that you found the 50 plus photographs informative.
Yes.
In your work.
Yes, again for background information.
Regardless. Did you find the indictment informative as well?
No.
Why do you say so?
What an individual has been charged with doesn't inform my scientific opinion.
Did you find the charge sheet informative as well?
No.
Did you find the gun residue report informative or not?
No, it was irrelevant to my review.
Confirm to this court that your report has no indication, even by way of annexure, as to how or when you determined that these 3 or more pieces of information were irrelevant to your task. Did you indicate anywhere?
We don't disclose that. We only disclose what is relevant.
To plainly put it, did you develop any process map in the process of your work?
There is
did you or you did not?
There's no process map to formulate.
Did you indicate anywhere in your report that you received the charge sheet, indictment, GSR report, but found them irrelevant?
No, we don't disclose that.
You never disclosed the fact of receipt.
We don't.
Again, when you say we don't, when you say we don't, I believe you have a legal basis for not doing so. Do you?
It's standard practice. We don't disclose what's not relevant to us. I routinely receive case bundles of 10,000 pages plus and only refer to those documents which are relevant to my review. Our reports are fit for purpose for our examination and do not contain absolutely everything we do.
Ms. Lynn, I want to thank you for your responses. The rest is for us now.
Thank you.
My Lord, that's all from us.
Thank you, Mr. Morgan. We break off and come back at midday.
Okay. Much obliged, my lord.
Right, adjourn till midday.
The whole paragraph states, the review of this case has been carried out by me. A full record of the work that has... Okay. A full record of the work that has been undertaken is contained within the case notes made at the time of the examination, and these are available for inspection if necessary. And then the findings have been peer-reviewed and independently agreed by another competent practitioner.
So now it has become necessary. So can you show us the peer review?
Yes, all our case details are stored on a Google Drive. And in this instance, this is one of the peer review. Because of the nature of the case, the contents of the statement are very bespoke. So it's gone through numerous checks. But you can see here, the file is entitled Witness Statement Checked. And throughout, if it lets me show everything here, these are comments by my peer reviewer, Joe Millington. Okay. And throughout the document, it's this, and any subsequent changes are agreed, checked. So this demonstrates the peer review of my statement.
Okay. Okay, so it was reviewed by, it shows who reviewed it. Could you just repeat that again, sorry? It was reviewed by you?
My colleague, Joe Millington.
Okay, you can go back to the report.
Yes.
You are
on
going
smuggling
you are
hearsay
going to
on record.
rephrase,
And we can't allow it,
Yes.
my
Let's
lord.
wait for him to rephrase that.
Okay, my lord, before he rephrases,
No, my lord.
does he accept that what is on record before?
My lord,
that
I
what
haven't
is on
even been
record
allowed to
now is
speak.
hearsay?
I'm literally being cross-examined.
Let us hear how he's rephrasing.
Okay,
Yes,
my
my
lord,
lord, I can't be
we
cross-examined.
we agree he can rephrase 1,000 times. My lord, our concern is what he has deliberately and insistently made the witness to put on record, my lord.
My lord.
You rephrase.
So in the meantime, my
but
lord,
part of
can what has been put on record be expanded?
No, my lord, I haven't even responded to his prayers.
that part of Mr. Mubiru
Mr.
and what he did in
Yes,
his
my lord.
lab,
Is a hearsay.
they're removing it from that.
No,
Most
my
of
lord, I
that,
haven't even
my lord.
responded. My lord, a
Most
fair
of that,
hearing.
my lord.
My lord,
Most of that.
my lord, in fairness, okay, let me rephrase the question. Miss Hingley, you told my lord that yours is a third review,
Yes.
and that there's a second review. Ordinarily, in the labs, explain to my lord what is a second review and who signs the second
We
review.
never crossed on that.
My lord, we need to
this
clarify.
Is
No, my lord,
examination.
my lord, can I be protected? Mr. Mwaganya should not be listening to himself.
Yeah, my lord, we can go on the record and we can be advised where that question arose in cross-exam.
Yes, my lord, he did actually. The witness.
About the second review and the third review.
Yes, the witness constantly said she was a third reviewer. I am sick. She was never allowed to break into what that meant. I am asking the witness what it meant. Yes, my lord, just type in third reviewer and you will see it all over. And I think it's important to clarify. My lord, and my lord,
Please, both of you, be seated.
yes, much obliged. But
Mr. Karwanga,
my lord, I need
let
to be
me
protected.
look at the record. What I did was a defense review, which is the same as a case review. It is a third review of the scientific findings. Yes. That's what I have.
Yes, but I wanted to clarify that particular answer.
So,
I just wanted to clarify.
so you did a third review.
Yes.
So let her respond to what you wanted to her to shed light on what a third review is.
Yes, what are the reviews in this case? What are the reviews in this case? Please, Mr. Mwaganya, I'm the one asking. Don't shout from a sedentary position. It's uncouth. The question is...
The third review? That's what I have. What
Yes.
The third review of the scientific findings.
Yes, and I'm asking for clarification on that point, my lord. So, Ms. Hengley, ordinarily, in your understanding of the reviews that were done, contextualize the third review in the context of the entire case. The first, second, and third review, so we know what you mean by a third review.
So the first confirmation of the DNA profiling results would be done by the analyst in the laboratory.
So the first confirmation, that's the first review.
Yes.
Yes, that's the first review of the results to determine that they have met their quality standards. That would then be checked by a second scientist, forming this. The second scientist in the DNA unit confirms and agrees the opinion of the first scientist that the DNA result conforms to their quality standards. That DNA profiling result is then released to the court-going scientist. And these are the results I have interpreted. So my interpretation of the DNA profiling results constitutes the third review of the DNA profiling results.
So that then the results will be released to the court-going scientists.
Yes.
And these are the results
That I have then reviewed. So my review constitutes a third check of the DNA profiling results.
And the second is also...
In relation to case review, this comes in with the production of a witness statement or a report. It's written by one scientist, and the second scientist reviews all the case papers to determine agreement with that report.
So please note down this in relation to case review, it comes with.
So this relates specifically to the production of the witness statement or report. The first scientist reviews all the findings and produces the report. The second scientist, now reviewer, reviews all the scientific findings referred to. And then when I do my review, it's then a second full case review.
And the third what?
So when you do yours, it is now a second.
It's a second full case review and a third check of the DNA profiling results.
So when you say third reviewer, you meant the third check with the DNA.
Yeah,
result.
so I'm the second full case review.
You're the second full case review. So what are you as third?
Sorry?
You're the second full case review. What are you as third? You're the third what then?
The third check of the DNA profiling results.
And is this based on anything? This what you've just told us, is that FSR, is that ISO, what is it based on?
That is, because case review doesn't come under any criteria, this is a standard methodology. So the review I carry out is exactly the same as if I was instructed by the prosecution.
Okay.
It's exactly the same methodology.
Okay. Now I want to move. Ms. Hingley, you also were told that Mr. Mubiru is more qualified than you because he is an assessor, an ISO assessor for forensic science.
Yes.
I want you just to comment on what an ISO assessor for forensic science is. Just clarify to my lord.
So ISO covers all disciplines in forensic science. For example, it will cover DNA interpretation, DNA profiling, toxicology, footwear, tool marks, drugs.
So you said it covers all disciplines, including DNA profiling?
DNA interpretation, toxicology, tool marks, footwear, drugs. And the disciplines are very, very different. So it's very important to know what particular field he's an assessor in.
You were told he's an assessor in forensic science. That's what you were told.
Yes, there's no such thing. You cannot be a general assessor of forensic science. The disciplines are too different.
You think you were also asked about your own experience, and the insinuation was that for technical work in the lab, you had only 7 years experience, and therefore you are not experienced when it comes to the lab. Can you clarify to my lord about your experience in respect to the scientific processes involved in DNA profiling?
So, as I said, hands-on within the lab, processing the samples. It was from when I started at the Forensic Science Service in 1997 until I left in 2003. I was the lead DNA scientist at the new company, LGC Forensics, and I worked closely with the technical team.
LGC in full is what?
Laboratory of the Government Chemist. So although I didn't physically work in the laboratory, I was part of the team that troubleshooted when the DNA profiling results weren't as expected, and at which part of the system we needed to investigate as to where the problem was. Equally, when I worked in Oman, setting up their system, I trained them in the very final stage, which was the analysis of the DNA profiles and the checking of. So I've been involved in the process since I started in 1997.
Okay, but I want you to explain to my lord about the technical part in the lab and because you talk about working in the lab and then you talk about working as an analyst. I want you just to clarify for us so that we have a clear understanding of what it is you mean and what you are doing.
So when I was hands-on, it was working directly in the laboratory, following standard operating procedures. So the methodology needed to be the same day in and day out. So I was doing that till 2003. Then subsequent to that, I was interpreting the DNA findings in the context of the case circumstances. So I have always been involved in the review of DNA profiling results, and I do not need to be hands-on within the laboratory to be able to do that.
Maybe my last question there, just so I can get it. When you're doing hands-on work, are you therefore analyzing the samples?
Yes, so I am following set procedures in order to put the samples through the analytical process.
And then what do you do after that?
So after that, that's when I became a court-going scientist, where I interpret the DNA profiling results in the context of the case.
So if I'm in a lab, it's say in a hospital, and someone comes in for a DNA paternity test, I just want to understand what you're doing. Are you the one who swabs? Are you the one who runs the machines? What exactly are you doing?
So I worked purely in the DNA profiling laboratory. So I was processing the crime stains and deriving the DNA profiling results.
Okay. Now, my learned friends also asked you about the swab on the trigger and trigger house.
Yes.
Which you said was a secondary swab.
Yes.
My learned friend, Mrs. Wakoli, asked you if if you've done a study to confirm that DNA remains on the trigger and trigger house, on the trigger after the first swab. Just clarify to my lord, what is the effect of that swab?
If the swabbing is taken effectively, the remaining DNA should be so low that it won't yield a useful DNA profile. And this comes from experience of having to resample areas which have already been swabbed.
So when you say, your last sentence was it wouldn't be able to do what to a DNA profile?
It wouldn't be a usable DNA profile.
What does that mean in the context of getting a result?
It may be possible to get a partial DNA profile, but the expectation is such incredibly low levels of DNA would remain that it would not be suitable for meaningful evaluation.
Okay. And so the secondary swab happened after the hand had touched the glove, right?
Yes.
After the glove had touched the trigger house.
Yes.
Now, my learned friend also asked you about fingerprints and grips.
Yes.
And she said that you cannot, that the argument was that fingerprints are not appropriate because you can't lift fingerprints off the grip. In the context of this case, what are the DNA results on the grip?
There's no evidence the grip was ever sampled.
For?
Sampled for DNA.
Now, she also asked.
Just
a moment. There's no evidence that the grip was ever sampled for DNA.
Yes.
And you asked her whether she stated that fingerprints cannot be lifted off the grip.
Yes. And she confirmed. So we have no information on the grip. Now, my question to you is this. You also asked about fingerprints and DNA.
Yes.
Can you confirm and you asked about, it's called triage of evidence. And I think we're trying to understand if you can lift both fingerprints and DNA from a weapon without one compromising the other. Could you explain if you can?
We've found through research that if the fingerprint expert enhances possible fingerprints with the technique of superglue, if the fingerprints are of use, they are able to recover those fingerprints, and then we are actually able to recover DNA from that area as well.
Maybe, my lord, we can have a translation. Let's look at the page number ourselves and record it for our purposes.
It's 21.
What if court needs to follow?
Okay, my lord, then court can follow. I think it's better if court has it. All we need is just a page number to be known from our perspective.
The electronic documents are 114 of 131.
No. My lord, it should be at the back of the document. I can get it for court, my lord, and then I can give it back to court. Page 69. Okay, that's page 69 of the document before you, my lord. Now, my learned friend, if you go down to the calculations, hypothesis HP,
Yes.
we'll keep going down. So, my lord, that will, I think, be the next page, I believe. Yes. Which has param MLE std.er mixed props C1. 69.
Estimates under HP.
Yes, yes. Okay, so now, my learned friend told you that C1 is Henry, C2 is Mole, and C3 is Patricia.
Yes.
And she asked you if those are percentages. There are numbers just next to the percentages. I just want you to first tell my lord what those numbers are. Next to 0.386, if you can show us.
So the figure next to the percentage is the error rate of this percentage.
That will mean that percentage plus or minus?
Yes.
Okay. She then asked you, so to understand the contribution of each, it is minus or plus that.
I think we need to go backwards, and that it's the appreciation that this calculation cannot compensate for mother.
I'll come to that, Miss Hingley.
Okay.
But I just want to understand that first. That is a percentage with an error margin, right?
Yes, if those percentages are correct, yes.
Now, you told my learned friend, we shall deal with the error margins ourselves, but you told my learned friend that you do not agree. She asked you if Mole is the highest contributor. You said yes, and you said you do not agree. Explain to my lord why you do not agree with that statistic.
So it's been progressed on the basis of 3 contributors. And in sample 19, there was an additional piece of information. But it's not clear why that wasn't carried over. So on the basis of 3, the fact that Patricia is the biological daughter of Molly, this required a second calculation to allow for robust percentages to be assigned. These figures purely relate to unrelated individuals, which we know is not the case with Patricia and Molly.
My learned friend then also referred you to calculations for the magazine, which is, I think, my lord, the one just before.
Sample 17.
Yes. My lord, maybe the page number, if we could know it. Sample 17 is the one just before 19.
Yes.
You have to go back 2 pages to see where it starts. My lord, it starts with, this is a generated report from Euroformix version 3.2.0, created by El Mutesi, and then it says data, a selected STR, selected population, evidence is 682Y23S017. So 017 is what we are looking at. So we just want to know the page number. 66. Now, on this one, if you can just go to the calculation for the prosecution hypothesis.
Yes.
My learned friend for the prosecution suggested to you, again, C1, C2, and C3. Please show us on the thing there, on the screen, using your cursor. My learned friend suggested to you, in summary, that Mole Katanga contributed 67% to the magazine, to the DNA in the magazine. And you, Ms. Hingley, said you do not agree with that calculation.
Yes, that calculation was run with 3 contributors, but is not reflective of the DNA profiling result.
Okay. What do we have on the DNA profiling result?
The DNA profiling result, if it was assumed that the DNA originated from Henry, Molly, and Patricia, there was clear evidence of DNA from a 4th individual.
And can you show us that? Can you show us this 4th individual?
So this is on page 20 of my witness statement.
Why don't we use the EPGs?
These are the 2 clear areas of 4 people.
So just show us what you mean.
So when we review the DNA profiling result, we evaluate the number of pieces of information. And although only 4 pieces of information have been designated, therefore at least 2 people, when you revisit the results with the assumption of Henry, Molly, and Patricia contributing, the areas circled do not belong to any of them, and therefore there must be a 4th contributor to this result.
And when you look at Euroformix again, what do we get from Euroformix in that regard?
So in this sample,
Yes.
the analyst has put in that the number of contributors is 3.
Okay. And what has the system, what has the software told the analyst?
When the system has been run, the system has actually told the analyst that it has failed to resolve 7 times. So that should have been an indication that something was wrong.
So my lord, that's the page we want.
67.
The page which has the 7 failures. It's under mode of validation. Even my lord, if I can. Page 67.
Please take the cursor to the place where
Take
it
the cursor
says
where it says
fail.
fails.
Sorry?
Take the cursor to the place where it says
Oh,
fails.
sorry, here. So under model validation, under HP, it's failed 7 times. So that's indicating that the proposition put forward by the analyst, that 3 contributors, is not correct.
What does HP mean?
So these are the propositions we consider.
So what does the proposition HP mean, if just in full?
So HP is the prosecution hypothesis.
Okay, you can stop there. Now, while still looking at number 17, what's the effect of the system failure?
That means that the system itself cannot resolve into a result because the findings do not support the information it's been provided, that 3 contributors. So that immediately should alert the analyst that something is wrong.
Now, Ms. Hingley, my learned friend took you to the profile itself of 17.
Yes.
And she said that you have only highlighted two areas
Yes.
where there is a problem, and that did you look at all the 23 areas? I want you to go to the Euroformics profile itself for sample 17, which is an exhibit D5. Exhibit D5,
Yes.
sample 17, which is the magazine. And my land friend says, I don't know if is that sample 17?
No, that was 15. I'm nearly there. This is the EPG from 17.
What page is that on the?
That's page 34.
If we go up a bit, I think we can see the page. Page 30. The written up page is page what?
It looks
30.
30.
My lord, if we can have DE5.
or 36.
DE5. Just bear with us, Miss Ingrid. But we have it. And I think it's page 36. No, page 38. 38. And can we proceed?
Page 36.
38. Is it this one? Let's see that. That's DE what? DE5. DE5 is what they've been using to cross-examine her. Yeah, throughout. It's the main document for the cross-examination. PA6 and DE5. My lord, could we just use that and
Which one?
what's on the screen? We have our copies. Ours was page 38. Is that page 38?
Do you have your copy of D5? Is it that one? You said it's 30?
I have page 38.
Is it 38?
Okay, anyway, my lord, we will seek the one from court. But do you have D5 on court record?
Yes. Yeah,
D5.
yes.
So where is it?
It's in the archives.
The main thing we've been using for this cross-examination. Yes. Yes. It's actually the only main document. Maybe, my lord, with permission, I will proceed and we shall come back and correct the pages. But from the Euroformics that was given to you from Defense Exhibit 5, what's the next page? Let's see the next page first. You just go up once, see the page number. Yeah, that's 39.
Yes.
So, my lord, 38. So the Euroformics given to you at page 38, if you go, my learned friend's question to you was, you've identified DNA belonging to someone else in just 2 out of 23 areas. First of all, show us those 2 areas on the Euroformics itself.
So these are the EPGs. So the 2 clear areas were FGA at 25 there. Could not have been any of the nominated individuals. And the second area is D12 here, the 17 and the 18. So at D12, 17 and 18 could not have come from any of the nominated individuals.
Now, my learned friend told you, fine, but that's just in 2 areas. You looked at 23 areas. Can you clarify, first of all, looking at the 23 areas, if she's right that you can only see the nominated individuals?
There's a lot of information that is...
Start from the top.
So from the top, we're unfortunately suffering from the same as with the extraction negative, where the panel has been sized to this very large artifact. So I cannot interrogate any of these areas at all.
Tell us for the record, what is the panel sizing? It is 0 to what?
This panel size is 0 with the midpoint of 16,000. So approximately 30, that'd be 24 and then 32,000.
32,000. And the next panel is from 0 to?
The next panel, the midpoint is 1,000. So 0 to 2,000.
Okay, so for the first panel, what information can you get about the areas?
The only information I can gain is the designations associated. I cannot see the peak morphology, or if there is any other information which has not been labelled by the police laboratory.
Or if there is what?
Any other information which has not been labelled by the police laboratory.
Okay, now using the rest of the information, do you agree with my learned friend that, okay, that's about 6 areas of DNA, fine, there are 6 areas that you can't see anything, there are 2 areas which you are contesting. Are there, how many areas are those where you can't see anything?
So the first panel covers 5 areas of DNA, which I cannot interrogate.
Okay.
Then we move down And even in the areas where I have highlighted, there is other information present, but the fact that it's not been designated would indicate that it falls below the 300 threshold, and therefore I cannot determine the size of this information, and there's extra information pretty much throughout the profile.
So there's extra information pretty much throughout the profile. Just demonstrate to my lord where we can see extra information.
So if we look at the FGA, where the 25 is clearly the fourth person, if we start at what's been labelled as 22, there's clearly DNA coming through before.
Yes. And what's the height of that DNA?
I can't, this here would be 400, but I can't, I assume that that's less than 300. I've no means of confirming.
Okay.
And then again, after the 23, there's clearly another piece of DNA coming through. And even after the 27, there's potential DNA here. So there's a lot of DNA within this result which has not been recorded by the police laboratory.
Okay. So now I want you to summarize your points there on looking at this profile. My learned friend says, fine, all that aside, isn't Mole still the highest contributor of DNA on the magazine?
It's not possible to determine. You can see that the 25, which is the fourth contributor, is a significant amount of information. So there's no way from this DNA EPG to demonstrate that Mrs. Katanga has contributed such a significant amount of DNA.
Okay. I want us to move to another area. Now, Ms. Hingley, a lot of time was spent, and I want to be very brief, on what was called the allelic ladder.
Yes.
And you were told that you said sample 23 is the allelic ladder, and maybe you can show it to us. Now, what page is that?
That is page 50.
Page 50 of D5. Now, my learned friend suggested to you that there is such a thing as a multi-person mixture of relatives.
Yes.
Not of relatives, a multi-person mixture of biological, in the house, in the context of a house, there is such a thing she called a multi-person mixture. And that a multi-person mixture is not necessarily allelic ladder contamination. And that allelic ladder contamination has a specific...
Approximately 18 pieces of information.
18 pieces of information. Do you have it throughout the profile, that sort of thing?
Yes, the characteristic ladder is throughout the profile, other than the first panel again, because I cannot interrogate it due to the sizing of the first panel.
And the first panel is sized at what?
8,000, midpoints are 0 to 16,000 approximately.
Now, the second panel is sized at what?
The midpoint is 600, so approximately 0 to 1,200.
Okay. And the third panel?
The third panel being 340, the midpoint, So approximately 0 to 680.
Now, Ms. Hingley, using the third panel, do you see any peaks above 300 that are not called?
Obviously, I cannot confirm because I didn't have access to the raw data, but it does appear in D19 before the 12. This peak here does have the appearance of being above 300. So this causes me concern that it's not uniform, that any peak above 300 is being designated.
Now, what result does the analyst give this ladder?
This sample was evaluated as a 2-person mixture. It was run through Euroformics as such.
Can we go and see it in Euroformics?
Yes.
My Lord, for prosecution
My
exhibit
Lord,
5.
I do not remember going to that in
Lord,
cross-examination.
My learned friend in
And
cross-examination
therefore-
said that this is a multi-person mixture as opposed to allelic ladder contamination.
I never
And
went
I
to
want,
that document.
we are clarifying. Multi-person mixture. She called it a multi-person mixture and not allelic ladder contamination.
I can't split my screen, sorry. So yes, this is the Euroformics for this sample.
How many fails?
Well, in this instance, you can see that the analyst has told the system you're looking at 2 contributors. And they were looking at whether Henry and Molly were a contributor. And in this instance, it failed 46 times, which is immediately the 2 contributors was wrong. Yet this was reported as 2 unknown individuals.
Lord, I don't know if we're together.
Multi-contributor DNA of several people in the household also show multiple peaks at multiple loci.
Yes.
Only that the peak heights vary according to each person's contribution of the relative deposit.
Yes. That's what we are clarifying. Whether this sample is that. And now you are telling us, Ms. Hingley.
My Lord, I do object because I did not go to those facts. Those are points that I just presented to the witness and she did confirm. And I never said, and I never even went to that document. I did not.
My Lord, the witness is clarifying. The witness was asked if the allelic ladder has a specific pattern or if it is multiple contribute. Yes, if it has peak heights at a certain location, to which she said no. She was then asked if there is a distinction between multiple person and allelic ladder contamination, and she clearly said there is a distinction, and she said the thing has a distinct pattern, and the point my learned friend is putting to her was that there was no ladder contamination. Unless my learned friend is conceding that there is ladder contamination. Otherwise, I need to clarify whether or not there is ladder contamination. That's what I'm clarifying. And she wasn't allowed to explain.
Just a moment. Allelic ladder contamination produces a distinctive and recognizable signature.
Yes.
As identified in my figure.
Yes.
4. The peaks would appear virtually at every known allele position across all loci simultaneously, with the relative uniform peaks in the actual ladder.
Yes. Yes, and that's what I'm clarifying, my lord. I'm clarifying that.
Whether the uniformity continues when the sample is contaminated with another sample is dependent on how that contamination happened.
Yes.
In a contamination event, the peak height may not mimic the ladder, depending on how the contamination happened. So what are you establishing?
My lord, I'm establishing because the point my land friend was making is that there is no ladder contamination in this case. I am establishing that dead certain there is ladder contamination. I'm seeking clarification.
I disagree that what I saw was not contamination, but was the result of multi-DNA contribution.
Thank you, my lord. That's the disagreement. I am asking why do you disagree? And I'm asking you to look at all the information that was given to you to clarify. Much obliged, my lord. Which is both this and the Euroformics.
So the EPG is showing characteristic ladder contamination. In my opinion, it's very concerning that this has gone through at least 2 checks as a 2-person mixture. It's clearly ladder. And even when it's been designated as a 2-person mixture, you can clearly see at D2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pieces of information have been called. So the mixture interpretation's wrong. It's clearly ladder. So if it's a 2-person mixture, you have a maximum of 4 pieces of information. Notwithstanding that the threshold is very questionable, accepting that only those peaks above 300 have been designated, the laboratory themselves have designated 5 pieces of information at the area of D2. Therefore, this cannot be a 2-person mixture. They have ignored a significant amount of information that is clearly visible in the areas. There is no doubt that this is ladder contamination.
And when you use Euroformics, what does it tell you?
So then it was put through Euroformics as a 2-person mixture. So I'll move it up to show. So the analyst had told the system it's a 2-person mixture and that they were looking for contributions from Henry and Molly. And in this instance, the system failed 46 times, which is a clear indication that the interpretation is wrong and they need to reevaluate that result.
Show us where? I don't also need a page for our own. Maybe I can.
On the Euroformics or the
Euroformics. No. Yes, the Euroformics is in P6.
This sample's near the end because it wasn't evidential, so look near the end.
I know how to find it. Page 84. 84 and 85. Okay, Ms. Ingley, I want us to move. My lord, I hope we're together. You had said under it failed how many times?
Under HP 46 times.
You put the cursor there.
So here, This is a clear indication that the propositions were inappropriate for the DNA information put into the system.
Okay. Now, Ms. Hingley, my learned friend then suggested to you, citing a number of EPGs, a number of electropherograms that are contained in Defense Exhibit 5. My learned friend suggested to you that a number of those, and I don't want to go through them one by one, but she mentioned a number, that were in the same batch as the cartridge casing.
Yes.
Do not have any sign of, first there was contamination and subsequently allelic ladder contamination. Now, the import was clear that that contamination is limited to that cartridge since we do not see it in other samples.
My lord, you can't testify.
Okay, my learned friend put to you a number of samples. I'm not testifying, it was a question. But anyway, I can rephrase it. But my lord, I wasn't testifying. The question is, according to my learned friend, even if this were to be ladder contamination, she put to you a number of samples and asked you if those samples that were in the same batch reflected the same ladder. And you said in each case that they don't. Yet in your evidence in chief, you said that the ladder affects the entire batch. Clarify to my lord the effect of the ladder on the entire batch of samples.
So the very first thing that should happen within a laboratory where clear contamination has occurred is that they must investigate where that contamination has happened and how. If, when they resample, they put it back through the system, so there's a separation process. If through that process it comes back clear, then the contamination has happened at the separation process, and it would be strongly advisable that the entire batch go back through that process. If, upon their investigation, they find that the ladder has come into the samples at the copying, the amplification stage, this is very serious contamination, and in effect the laboratory must stop processing any samples until they can deem their laboratory clean.
What do you mean stop?
Literally no samples should be processed along there in that laboratory at all until they can demonstrate that their process is clean.
You mean it should be closed?
They should not process any samples whatsoever.
Okay. Is this specific to allelic ladder contamination?
Yes, because the laboratory should be set up in what we term positive airflow, meaning nothing that has been copied is able to go back into the process. The allelic ladder only comes into the process at the very end, the separation stage. There should be no reason whatsoever that you are picking up ladder in your amplification stage. If you are, it means your DNA is going in reverse and is able to then contaminate an earlier stage. If that is shown and the ladder contains every possible piece of information we know, then you have absolutely no idea whether your result from your sample is from the sample and not contamination. Hence, the lab would cease. They must demonstrate that their airflow is robust and that their laboratory is clean.
Now, Ms. Hingley, my learned friend asked you about two other samples apart from 22-1, which was, I think, 24, and another one where you said there was ladder.
Yes.
Were they all in the same batch?
No, this is a different batch.
So every batch in this case had allelic ladder contamination?
Certainly 2 batches, yes.
Okay.
So this is the second. This is one of the walking sticks. Again, absolutely characteristic of ladder.
What page is that on the E5?
That is page 65, sample 29. And then again, sample 30, starting on page 66. Oh, sorry, that's 29. And again, both these samples should never be confused with multi-person mixtures. They are clearly ladder, clear contamination.
Show us.
So here's sample 30. You would never get a distribution like this in a multi-person mixture. The most common alleles and that are put through and regularly seen are generally centralised. This is absolutely characteristic ladder.
Okay. Now, looking at just there, the panel on 30.
Yes.
How many? What is this? What is its height? What's the height?
So this is sized with 200 at the midpoint, between 0 and 400.
Okay. Okay, and so you see ladder there.
Yes, clear ladder.
Show us.
So here, this area's very, very clearly ladder.
Okay, now, I'm about to wind up. My learned friend then suggested to you, my Lord, I hope we can move. My learned friend suggested to you that in order to see contamination, you have to go to what she called the quantification data. Put it up. And she took you to it.
Yes.
So please kindly put it up. I think it's still within that document.
Yes, it is. You're right.
And it was, she took you specifically, if I recall, to a particular quant at page
Is it 56?
56, yes. I think actually, if we start from 55, she took you to 55, 56, yes. And 57.
Yes.
And she said, in her questions to you, that she referred you to a number of samples and said that, so if I can, let me quote her properly. What I had recorded is she said that using samples at page 55 and 56 of DE5, that the male will give you an X and Y chromosome because only a male can give you a Y, and then you responded and said yes because the female at Y would be 0. She then referred you to a number of samples, starting with Molle's reference sample, which she asked you to read the quantification data.
Yes.
And her argument seemed to have, and she argued, she put it to you actually, that as long as you don't see contamination in the quant, then there is no contamination at all. First of all, you disagreed with that.
It's not possible with crime stains to determine from the quant whether there's contamination or not, because you do not know what you're expecting. The only samples the quant data will aid are the negative, because we know that's supposed to be blank. And equally, we can use the reference DNA samples of known individuals because we know whether they're male or female.
Now, my learned friend sent you to the sample S004
Yes.
of Mole Katanga.
Yes.
I want you to clarify, does that show there's no contamination?
So this sample, as expected, has a very... So here, oh, it won't let me because it's not a searchable. So I'm looking at well D1 on sample 004 on the small autosomal. You can see that the figure of 4284, and that's as expected, a very high level of female DNA. However, if you look below this, the Y, which can only be male, is indicating that there is male DNA in this sample.
So there was a man in Mole, Katanga.
Yes, the analytical work is demonstrating that male DNA has been detected in a sample from Molly.
And that shows what?
That's an indication that there could be contamination in that sample.
What about Patricia?
Again, for Patricia, a very high level of female, of total DNA, as you would expect. And again, there's a figure measuring, indicating that male DNA is present.
I want you to read for my lord the figure of male DNA for Mole, the figure for male DNA for Patricia.
So for Molly here, on sample 004, the male has been registered as 0.005093. And for Patricia, it's 0.006823.
There's also a man in Patricia.
Yes, both. And the critical thing here is that the amount of male recorded is far, far lower than the total. And therefore, the EPG, you could never visualize the contribution of the male because the female will completely swamp it in relation to the EPG. So the quantification is showing there's possible contamination, but the EPG, you could never visualize it.
Sample 6 was Denise, a woman as well. Does that woman have some man?
So
I withdraw the question, my lord. I withdraw the question. It didn't arise indeed. I will move. But
My lord, the question did not only arise,
it didn't arise.
but it is an indication of a poor understanding of your...
Don't testify. You submit. You don't testify.
Of your...
Don't testify. Don't testify.
Yeah, but...
Don't testify, my lord. I want to move on to the next area.
Withdrawn it.
Yes,
Yeah,
much
but-
obliged. Much obliged.
He has already vulgarized the record. I don't know, maybe for Natif.
My lord, let me continue.
Natif. Otherwise, my lord, there is no reason.
My lord is chasing headlines. I think my lord, please
There's no
prevail.
reason for our colleague to
My lord,
know
please
that what
prevail.
is speaking is wrong and insists on putting
My lord,
it.
I'm just asking questions. And the question he has objected to, I have withdrawn. I'm not giving evidence here. Now, Miss Hingley, this is my final area. And in this final area, my learned friend took you at length to what she called the negative control. And I want you to go, this is my second final area, right? Third final area. I want you to go to the negative control in the EPG, which was at page 53, I believe, of Defense Exhibit 5.
yes,
I'm going to interrogate every single point my learned friend made about this. So I'm going to do it quickly but briefly. First of all, my learned friend took you through the entire, all the panels,
yes,
and asked you if you saw any allele call above 300.
yes,
And she then told you, and you said you didn't, but you said 300 is too high and has no scientific basis.
yes.
She asked you simply, just, do you see any above 300? You said you disagree with 300 as a threshold. Can you explain to my lord why you disagree with a threshold of 300?
So as I previously was explaining, the laboratories have two thresholds. The first threshold is that of the baseline. So this is noise created during the analytical process. And if we look here in the red section, the baseline is literally this very noisy, jagged line that runs across. That is baseline. The reason why we have the baseline threshold is that in order to designate any DNA, the information must be clear, distinct from baseline, and have good morphology. You can clearly see here that the baseline is around a maximum of 25. This is an analytical system that is working very, very well. And therefore, visually, there is absolutely no chance that the information in this panel could be misinterpreted as baseline.
So you're saying the bottom is the baseline and then the peaks are what?
They are pieces of DNA. And there is no scientific grounds for misinterpreting this information as being part of the baseline. It again shows very limited knowledge of the DNA profiling process.
Now, my learned friend put it to you. She confirmed it actually from you, that having watched Mr. Muberu's evidence, you confirm that he said the baseline was 300.
I understand the threshold was 300.
Yes, she put it to you that the threshold was 300, and you understood this, you said, based on having listened to his evidence. Apart from that evidence, clarify if there's any documentation we have on that threshold, on the detection threshold.
So in this respect, we need to go back to Euroformics. And it doesn't matter which sample, they've all been set at the same. So this is the sample we've just been looking at with the ladder contamination. If you look at the printout here, model options.
Maybe let's look at a sample, the first sample in Euroformics, so we know the page number. My lord, on D5.
So it's sample 19.
No, sample, I think 7.
On page?
Oh, no, I need the page from the code, that's right. So where the Euroformics starts from, exactly. Annex 4, under Annex 4. After Annex 4, the next page. Yes, yours will be there.
So here, is this right? No?
No, yours is missing a page. Go to the next.
If you start from sample 14, does that work?
Sample 14. Well, maybe I can help to find it. No,
D5
that's
or
D5.
D6?
That's P6. You're at sample 14.
Yes.
Okay, so you are telling us?
So irrespective of the sample, the Euroformics settings have been the same throughout.
Okay.
So if we look to model options, you can see a label detection threshold.
And what is the detection threshold according to Euroformics?
So this is from which point Euroformics will consider a piece of information DNA and utilize it in the statistical evaluation.
So what is the threshold? What's the number?
So the threshold that the analyst has inputted, this is not a default setting for Euroformics, is 70.
70 is that, and what's the default setting for Euroformics?
The default setting is 50.
50.
So this has been changed by someone within the police laboratory.
So this is the police laboratory's threshold.
I cannot comment on that, but someone within the police laboratory has set the analytical threshold at 70.
So now, Ms. Hingley, apart from Mr. Muberu's oral testimony, that it is 300. The question I put to you was, do the documents bear this out?
No, and I requested documentation of their validation to demonstrate their thresholds.
And the document shows what?
I have no documentation at all, it wasn't provided.
What does Euroformics show?
So I now have documentation which shows that the analytical threshold input into Euroformics is 70, which directly contradicts the threshold I'm led to believe of 300.
So now, Ms. Hingley, if whatever the detection threshold is, 300 or 70 or 50, the question was put to you, and I want to ask you to clarify. Did the negative control perform as expected?
If I go back to the EPG, you can see if we actually consider what would be a reasonable baseline of even 70 at D21, clearly these two pieces of information are above that threshold, and no, it's demonstrating this is a contaminated negative.
Sure.
This area here is the clearest, so even at 70, which is still high for a baseline threshold.
Do we now understand her to mean that her appreciation of the Euroformics is that the baseline was 70, notwithstanding the fact that she consistently says she did not have documents? Because
No.
we need to be sure.
My lord, let me
that
clarify for my colleague, because my colleague is just, my colleague is, you can't seek the clarification from her, you finished. You can only object to my question. My lord, am I not right? You can't ask her questions.
Mr. Morgan,
Yes.
you want clarification?
No,
on whether the baseline is 300
Or 70. Yes.
No, from what she is saying, my lord, now, do we understand her to mean that her appreciation of the Euroformics is that the baseline is 70?
So let me ask you that question. Let me ask her that question, my lord. Because, my lord, the proper process is I should be the one asking questions. So the question is it your proper understanding, that the detection threshold or the baseline is 70 based on the Euroformics?
The 70, which is incorporated into Euroformics, is not the default figure, and so someone in the police laboratory would have had to have put in the 70. Now, whether this is their threshold or not, I can't confirm.
What's the default figure?
How does it fit in with the 300?
That's the question.
No, she has actually answered it properly.
No,
then Mr. Karwanga is
doesn't have to
forcing
provide commentary, my lord.
is
Let's deal with the witness.
wrong answers in her mouth.
Let us.
Ms. Hingley, the question we are asking you, explain to us. You're talking about the normal in Euroformics is what you've just said. What is detection threshold in Euroformics? How does the detection threshold in Euroformics affect this detection threshold here? What was the detection threshold of the Uganda police based on the documents that you have? Give us and please try and break it down in very simple English so that we can all understand.
So from the Euroformics, you can see that the threshold that the police themselves have put in is 70. This is obviously in complete contradiction to the 300 I understood to be the case. If the detection threshold is actually 70, then it clearly shows that the negative control was contaminated and did not pass.
Okay. And if the detection threshold is 300, what does it show?
On the assumption that only pieces of information above 300 are given a designation, then that negative control is clear. So the lowering of the threshold to 70 is highly significant in the interpretation of the negative control.
Now that's the point I want you to come to. When you look at the baselines, because she asked you base by base by base, do you have any above 70?
Yes, this area here, these
No,
two.
I don't mean the results. I mean the panel. if you look at the panel from 0, would I be correct to suggest? Yes, 0. My land friend asked you to go through that to see those panels. What information do we get from that?
So in the green, the panel, clearly, these two pieces of information would be designated. I can't confirm these, they would be close. This top panel, I have no idea, because I can't see anything because of the way it's been sized.
Okay, so my final question on
Just a moment. I would like to appreciate the panels. What do they indicate? And why are we seeing different ratios for the panels?
So when the DNA is separated, this is the visualization stage, and it's in the computer software. The computer software default in producing the electropherograms is that it sizes from the highest peak. So as is common throughout this, the EPGs, we have this very strong piece of information on the far right, which is outside of any of the regions we're interested in. This is not a piece of DNA. This is not associated with the negative. And therefore, the analyst should know that they need to lower the panel here to actually visualize what was in this sample. This is misleading. And because of the information, as you can see from the other panels, is low, as we'd expect, by putting this panel at over 2,000 is misleading that it's empty. Because I would assume, given the results in the other panels, there is quite a lot of information in here, but you just can't visualize it because of the default settings of the system alone. It's nothing scientific, and the analyst should know that that needs to be amended.
Thank you. I want you just to go finally on that point of the negative control, just for the purpose of clarity. You said it's 300, and I don't know if I'd asked this question. Any documents that support the 300?
No, I've not been provided with any.
And are there documents that support another threshold?
Yes, the Euroformix is indicating a 70.
Now, my learned friend cited a paper by Professor Peter Gill. She didn't give us the paper, nor did she read its citation, unless I'm correct. She just dropped the name Professor Peter Gill. Huh? And she said that according to that unnamed paper, contamination in negative control is limited to the single test tube that has the negative control. And that therefore it's something that can be ignored. She put that to you. Do you agree with that?
No. A negative control demonstrates that there is contamination within your process. Unless you rework that negative control and investigate where that contamination occurred, you have no idea what part of your process is contaminated. So in this instance, as the bare minimum, the negative control should have been sent back for the reamplification, so the copying stage. If it comes back clear then the contamination has happened at that stage. If, after reamplification, you are still getting information in your negative, it can only have occurred at the very beginning of the system, the extraction. This, in my opinion, is gross contamination. You have at least 2 people in this sample. The laboratory must try and source that DNA. Is it a scene goer? Is it a member of the laboratory? And depending on that, it could mean that the entire batch, the results are so unreliable that you have to go back to the exhibits and resample.
My lord, can I move?
Proceed.
Ms. Hingley, you were then taken through or you were also taken through a number of comments you had made about contamination, the gloved hand touching the gun, the bag, the pistol on the floor, a lack of documentation from station to lab, and you were accused of mere wild speculation because you didn't have information as to whether these anti-contamination procedures were followed or not. Can you explain whether you were engaging in wild speculation?
No. We know how easy it is to contaminate, to transfer DNA. And in every instance I've highlighted, it's extremely poor laboratory practice, scene practice, and it therefore allows for a significant risk of contamination through the processing that's occurred.
My learned friend, I want to combine two points that have taken to you into one question. Both of my learned friend, Ms. Wakoli, put it to you that Mole cannot be excluded as a contributor on the barrel, the magazine, and the trigger. While my learned friend asked you if she can be removed as the shooter, my learned friend, Mr. Morgan. My question to you is, what are the significance of those particular findings?
In my opinion, when I very first had the case context, my expectation was that DNA from Molly and Henry and likely Patricia were going to be obtained irrespective of what's happened. Therefore, the presence of DNA from Molly, Henry and Patricia is totally expected, and it's reasonable to assume that their DNA is present.
Does that mean one of them shot?
No. The DNA result itself does not help address in any way who fired that gun.
Finally, Ms. Hingley, my learned friend put it to you that your report is based on a bunch of assumptions. Can you tell this court what assumptions your report is based on? Or can you clarify whether your report is based on a bunch of assumptions? What's the assumption?
Always have assumptions. We never know exactly what's happened. However, they must be robust and scientifically able for challenge. In my final evaluation, even though I've highlighted significant risks to the integrity of any result obtained from the crime scene to the laboratory, through the laboratory, and then subsequent evaluation. Irrespective of all of that, my final opinion is that everything is perfect, the DNA results stand, and the DNA does not help to address who fired that gun.
My last question, having watched the evidence of PWA, do you disagree with him on that point? Having watched the evidence of PWA, do you disagree with him on that point?
My Lord.
Made.
Because as far as we are concerned, PW8's evidence was only to source level, not to activity level that she engaged in. So
okay,
I don't see that arising now.
Let me ask it like that. As far as we are concerned, PW8's evidence was only to source level as opposed to activity level. Do you agree with him on that point?
No, I believe one of the last questions he was asked is, does the DNA help to address who fired that gun? And he said no.
with him?
Absolutely, the DNA does not help to address anything in this case at all.
My Lord, I am done with this witness. Miss Hingley, thank you very much.
Start with our next witness tomorrow in
Yeah.
the morning, yeah. Because now it's 2:30. If we take a 1 hour break, we'll be here at 3:30 and then 4. So,
I agree.
but for us, we are ready. But let's do in the morning. And Ms. Angle, thank you so much.
Are they calling a fresh witness or they are completing
Yes, my lord.
unfinished business?
My lord, we failed. I can address what my colleague is. We failed to get doctor for tomorrow. It's a Tuesday. His day is normally he has 3 days of surgery, so he has Thursday afternoon or something. So tomorrow we can't waste it, so let's call another witness, a fresh witness. Whenever he's available, fortunately he's in the country, we will call him to complete what he was left with. So he's a fresh witness. My lord. My lord, maybe for your guidance, now that today you can see what we did, can we maintain 9
My Lord,
instead of 10? So that, my lord, we normally do much when, sir, 9, yeah.
But I'd hoped to work on it during the lunch break and then deliver it at the end.
okay,
But
so
we'll
we
start
can
with it
receive
tomorrow.
Yes, my
My
Lord.
lord, for us, we are not in a hurry with that ruling. Whenever you deliver it, we will record that witness when you allow us. It's okay. Much obliged.